if you've got a YouTube channel that is fairly sizable, I mean, it's 10,000 plus subscribers, we're coming up to 12,000 now, you will know that you get inundated with emails. Test our product. Would you like to feature a video on this? Blah, 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 this, that and the other. Now, I would say 80% of those emails I just ignore because they are an absolute nonsense, stuff that's not relevant to the channel. I keep getting companies, would you like to promote some active wear on your channel? It's like, have you seen my channel? For a start, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm not active. And this is Ben's Garage where we fix stuff. Come on, I'm not going to be putting out bloody videos on what you should be wearing while you're exercising. Anyway, that is one of many. I get so many during the week. Most of the time my email does quite a good job of weeding out the crap and it chucks them straight in the spam folder. But then I do get the few. Would you like to test this? Would you like to do that? Blah, blah, blah. This time, it's the turn of Kaiweets. Got an email from them. Would you like to collaborate on a video? Blah, blah, blah. I thought, it's a digital multimeter. Something useful. I could use it on the channel. So they said they're going to send me one. I have got a few already. I'll show you those in a moment. But I've not got a smart digital multimeter. So we'll have a look at this, see what you get in the box, and we'll do a little bit of testing, see how accurate it is compared to my other multimeters. And it does turn out that I'd already purchased a Kaiweets multimeter. This is a clamp meter. We'll have a look at that in a bit, and we'll compare the accuracy between this and the other ones I've got. One of them is my trusty old Blue Point Basic. It just does DC and AC, and it has got a continuity and ohms tester. That's rugged. That is probably over 20 years old now, this one. I've got to do some repairs on it. It's good. It's just basic. There's just two sockets in the end, plus and minus. You can't go wrong. The screen doesn't light up or anything like that, but I used to use this when I was on the recovery trucks. Recovery trucks. When you just go out to a non-start, you jump start the car. I always used to put a multimeter on just to make sure that it was charging and say, right, you need a new battery, take it to your garage while it's running, or it's not charging, you won't make it to the garage because your alternator's had it. And I always used to write down on my job sheet what the voltage was after I'd got the thing running, because you don't want any comebacks. This was, say, 20 years ago, just when people started complaining quite a bit. I went out to so many jump starts where people just, oh yeah, you started the car for me and just switched it off. Go back to it an hour later and it won't start. So I used to do that, say, advise customer to go to the garage. Anyway, you get my drift. So we're going to today have a look at this Kaiweets Smart Digital Multimeter. This is the KM601s. Now this is true RMS. And I was like, RMS? What the bloody hell's RMS? I've downloaded, just copied and pasted off the internet. I will just read what true RMS is, if you're wondering, like I was. And I will put up an equation on the screen. If you're into electronics, you might know what this is more than me. So anyway, how a true RMS meter works. A true RMS meter can accurately measure those imperfect, non-sinusoidal waves. I'm not pronouncing that right. As well as perfect sinusoidal waves. RMS stands for root mean square, which is a calculation used to determine the equivalent DC value of an AC waveform. Yeah, this has already lost me. I can understand DC, direct current, AC, alternating current. For example, a 120 VAC signal applied to a resistor and a 120 VDC battery applied to the same resistor should both heat the resistor to the same temperature. True RMS uses this mathematical equation to convert the measurements and give an accurate measurement of both sinusoidal and non-sinusoidal waveforms. So there you go. I hope you're a bit wiser. I still haven't got a bloody clue. Anyway, let's get this box open, see what you get inside it, and we'll do a bit of testing. User manual. Only the first 25 pages are in English. It does give you that much is English, and it gives you quite a bit of info in there. Nice little case. Da-da-da-da. So we get a USB cable for charging. Test probes. These have got bits on the end you can just pop off if you need a bit longer. Temperature sensor wire. And the unit itself. So we'll have a quick look. Top here we've got the charging socket. Power on and off. Nothing on the sides. On the back we've got a light and a stand. Right, let's switch it on. Go straight into auto mode, so you can see that. That's auto mode, so that should detect whatever you're doing. So you can go left and right and it will scroll round. So let's go left, so that's auto. DC voltage, and then you can move the decimal point along by pressing the range button. And while you're on it, you can do AC voltage, and then you can move the decimal point again. That's back to DC. So then we can go to the next one, which is ohms. You can change those. You've got kilo ohms, I'm assuming that is, and you just move the dot along. So the next one is continuity. So when you touch them together, you'll get a buzz, and you can check the continuity of a wire. Diode testing. Can't remember what this one is. Let me just get the. That's a capacitance test. Next one is millivolts. I don't know if you can do that in DC as well as AC. Anyway, that's millivolts. You can check the hertz. Temperature. You obviously have to have that plugged in. But you'll notice every time I move a setting, these lights flash. That's just showing you where you need to be putting the test probes or the temperature in. So we'll go to the next one, which is NCV. We'll have a look at that. That's when it just picks up off the socket. And then we've got this next one, which is, that's for checking AC current. Yeah, so obviously I've not got the thing, so that red light will come on when the test probes are not plugged in the correct position. I've not got anything plugged in at the moment. So if I go back one to NCV, then go back to, so it's telling me to plug it into there, and until I do that, that'll stay on red. So that's for ampere current measurement. Where is it? No, that's the next one. So that, those two lights flash, so your black one goes in there, red one in there, and that's the same. That's ampere current measurement. MA, it doesn't say anything about MA. Anyway, that's what it does. You can go through it, and then you can select and this, that, and the other. So we'll go, that resets back to auto, and then we're back on DC voltage. So we've got a nice handy little stand on the back, and then a torch, which I thought was quite handy actually. So you press and hold the select button, and you get a torch. So if you're like working in a consumer unit, you can put a torch in there. Or if the battery on the car is slightly in the depths and you need to see what's what. So yeah, that's the Kaiweets KM601s. This is my Blue Point. This is really rugged. Nice rubber case around it. It is a bit of a job to get it off because it's cold. This is my, obviously the make's not brilliant. It's a duo-y. That's got a stand on the back, so you can stand it up. This has got a lot of functions. This, obviously, it was probably a bit more expensive than that. It's got amps, voltage, AC, DC, duty cycles, diode testing, ohms readings, and then you've got a tachometer, 3-cylinder engine up to 8-cylinder engine, and then we can do the dwell angle. So if you've got a car that's still on points, you can select how many cylinders, pop a wire either side of the coil, and you can set your dwell angle on this. Obviously that's a bit more expensive, but it all works good, doesn't it? So we'll put it onto, I can't remember where it is now, round to voltage. The screen doesn't light up on that one. And then, I didn't realise, but I'd already got a Kaiweets multimeter. This one here. It's a clamp tester. So you switch it on. This, you have to switch the light on itself, so it's got that. So we'll go to voltage. So that's on DC volts. Press the button, that's AC volts. Press that, that's hertz. And again, AC, LPF, back to DC. So then we've got hertz there, you can check your hertz, then you've got your diode testing and your ohms and resistance. So you can just press your function button, scroll through it. So that's your continuity. The light doesn't stay on, so yeah, that's one downside to it. So you've got your continuity, that's just a buzzer. NF, I don't know what that is, nanofarads, I don't know. That's your diode testing, and that's kiloohms or milliohms. Anyway, this has only got the 2 ports on the bottom, so you can't get that mixed up. Obviously on this one, we've got 4 ports on the bottom, but as you turn it, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. The dial opens and closes what ports you can use. Keep going, there we go. So that's that. Obviously on these basic ones, you've only got the 2 anyway. It tells you on the bottom, input and COM. This one's easy, red and black. Even colour coded on the bottom. Must fix that. But yeah, this one's pretty good. It's got the clamp meter on it as well, so you can put it onto amps, AC current. You can plug that around an AC cable and that'll do. So yeah, I didn't realise I'd got a Kaiweets one. That's got a temperature probe as well. But let's do a bit of testing with it. Got a AAA battery here which should be 1.5 volts. So I'm going to test it on this one first. 1.59. So let's try it on my original Kaiweets. It's flicking around, I ain't even put it on yet. .59. So that's sort of an automatic. It's picked up that it's voltage. That's all millivolts at the minute. But you see, I don't know if you can, this bloody, I find that these cables get a bit stiff. So that's flicking around on millivolts at the minute, but when I go to put it on the battery, you can see it goes to DC volts. Oh, pissing light. One downside of this. I will get this test done in a minute. .59. So that's reading the same as that one. DC volts. .59, so they're all reading the same. I'm going to just put this on auto, and then I'm going to put it on the battery and see what it does. Oh, it's picked it up straight away. DC volts 1.59. So that's good. I probably wouldn't use the auto setting. I'd always have it on manual. Right, well, I've got the McGann in here. We'll just check the battery on it. So we'll try this. I don't know if you can see that. On there. On there. Can you see that? 12.2, 12.23. I'll leave it on auto. .2. Let's go. DC volts. 12.2. Is that near enough? Can I? Let's put it on that setting. And the other one was reading 12.23. No, still reading 12.2. That's okay, it's within a little. Now if you're like me and a bit old school, now I'm not saying I'm old school and I'm not old, well, to some people I probably do seem old, but there you go. I'm not 50 yet, so when I left school, 92, 93, I almost went straight into just a small family garage in the rural Lincolnshire. So we worked on anything that came in the door. So it could be anything from a lawnmower to one day we were sat having a tea break. The workshop all of a sudden got very dark because one of the local farmers brought his combine harvester in for repair. So you name it, we worked on it. But because it wasn't a main dealer or anything, we weren't working on new cars. If people had new cars, they'd take them back to the dealer for warranty or for whatever reason. So we were still working on cars from like the late 60s, 70s, 80s. We did get a few newer ones in just for a bit of servicing once they was out of their warranty period, because back in those days, it had to be main dealer service or you lose your warranty. While I was working at that garage, that sort of changed. A proper professional garage would be able to service your car as long as you use main dealer parts and you could keep your warranty. But on all those old cars, you would have had something like this. A distributor cap, plug leads. Now this is electronic ignition on this car, but you used to get points and condenser inside the distributor. That's a whole nother ball game, which would confuse the hell out of a lot of people nowadays, but I think I've still got it locked away in the back of my brain somewhere. So yeah, you would test if you, I don't know if you can remember the old Krypton tuning that used to plug a whole host of wires on the engine and you tune it up so you get your timing set for, you do your timing, your dwell angle on your points, and then you'd get all your timing and everything all sorted out before you even touch the carburetor. So then you plug up the exhaust pipe and then you'd set your carburetor so it was running right. But if it wasn't running right, you would always check the resistance on your spark plug leads, distributor cap, check your rotor arm as well. So we can do that with this Kaiweets. So let's have a quick look down here and see what we can come up with. It's not something that's going to be used a lot nowadays, but it's got the function and you can check everything for resistance. Yeah. That should be a continuity buzzer. Right, let's go back one to ohms. Right, got some plug leads here. Let's go for this one. So I'm going to just put one end up the plug lead so it's touching the metal part. This one on the post in the distributor, if I can see it. That gives you an ohms reading. So touching them together, there should be no resistance, so that should be on 0. But what you'll find is when you're trying to do it like this and it's crusty, so that's on there. So that's 0.001. So there's not a lot of resistance through that plug lead. So obviously the spark comes from the distributor cap, through the cap, along the lead to the spark plug. So there's very little resistance on that. So you would go through and check all 4 of those, or more if you've got more cylinders. If you've got one that comes up slightly higher, it's either a plug lead. You could take your plug lead off and do it on its own, or you can do it through the distributor cap. If you get a high number, then you would take the plug lead off, check the lead on its own, and then check the distributor cap. If there's a high resistance on either of them, you just replace it. Touch them together, it should be 0. Now when it doesn't matter which lead you put on which end when you're checking for resistance. So that's reading 1.5. So you'd go through, I don't know if I've got that set on the right thing actually. It's been a long time since I've done this, spark plugs. So that's reading almost a big fat 0. You can obviously do different settings, but you want it to be 0 for, if it's 0, there's no resistance. So if you imagine this spark plug is like a pipe, if you've got a blockage in the pipe, the water can't get through it. So basically when you're testing for resistance, you're testing for a blockage in the cable. It's just an analogy so that you can understand why we're doing it. So if one of them picks up resistance, so you get a high number come up, and all the others are fairly low, you'll know that one plug lead is bad, because electric can't get through it as well as it gets through the others. Oh, Peppy, you good boy. So I'm going to switch that on. I'm going to go NCV, or N, well, it says. So I'm just going to hold it by the socket. So that's all very good. Apparently this one's got it as well. Apparently you press and hold that button on the side. Apparently that's the low signal, that's the strong signal. This one was just saying low, but it's picking it up. That's pretty much going to wrap up this video. You can't really do much more. I mean, there's obviously a hell of a lot of functions. If you're an electrician, you'll probably have something a bit better, but as a basic beginner's smart digital multimeter, you can't go wrong with this. It's a fairly rugged case. Obviously these big ones with the rubber silicone cases, they're built to throw about. Now if you're like me, you don't like throwing your tools about, you look after them, they last for a long time. So I wouldn't even dream of chucking this on the floor. Obviously accidents happen, but I think it would stand up to it. The bezels, come above the screen if you was to drop it on a stone or something. I don't know how well that would last, but yeah, it's quite easy to use. The lights all change. It flashes when you select function, so it tells you which one to plug it into. If they're in the wrong one, the red light comes up on there. Yeah, as I said, I totally forgot that I had this one. I bought this when we was installing the solar system because I wanted to check amp currents and this, that and the other. That just clamps around the camera and it does the job. So that's all good stuff. But this one, obviously, this one I've got here, it's got so many more functions, but you don't always want a tachometer or a dwell angle meter. No, you just want DC and AC current, or voltage and DC and current as well. For most applications of whatever you're doing. So this one's even more basic, but it did the job at the time and it still does if you just want to check voltage. But yeah, invaluable bit of kit. This will probably be going in the Range Rover toolkit for when we go away. So I'm getting a little bit of a, not I'm expecting to break down, but so I always think if you've got stuff with you, you're never going to need it. And I'll probably be putting far too much stuff in the car, but this will be going in the toolbox for the car. Reason being, I can charge it up easily with USB, and it's in this nice little carry case, so that'll just sit nicely. Zip it up, you know, doesn't take up any room at all. Yeah, so thanks to Kaiweets for sending that out. There will be a discount code, which will be Ben's Garage. I don't know how much of a discount it is yet, because I was emailing the person I was emailing this morning, and I hadn't got a reply. It will be in the description below, so there's a link below and a discount code, Ben's Garage. Go and have a look on their website. They've got a lot of stuff on there for multimeters, various clamp meters, this, that and the other. And it seems well made stuff. Never had a problem with this one. I just didn't really know how to use it properly. But I did have some instructions somewhere, but yeah, I totally forgot. When I bought it, I thought, oh, it only does AC. But yeah, looking at it now, press the function buttons and it goes through and you can do DC voltage on it as well. I don't think you can do DC current. But anyway, I've got more multimeters than I know what to do with now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just a bit of something. When a company like Kaiweets emails me and it's relevant to the channel, I'll say yes or no. So I've got a few other things coming that we'll be trying in the car at some point, possibly before Christmas, but we'll see. That involves Apple CarPlay, so if you're into Apple CarPlay or Android Auto for your Range Rover, I did do one before with the screen, but this one's a little bit different, so keep your eyes out for that one. Anyway, catch you in the next video. Bye for now.